The government and central bank agreed to a burden sharing scheme. First of all, we should know what actually burden sharing is. Burden sharing is a way to face problem together between Minister of Finance as the fiscal authority and Bank Indonesia as a monetary authority. The problem that Indonesia is currently facing right now is economic consequences of COVID-19 pandemic. We can divide the economic consequences into two categories: public goods and non-public goods. Let's take a look first on the public goods. Here it is. Through the first graphic, we can assess COVID-19 economic consequences on public goods. The total is 397.6 trillion rupiah that is required by government to settle up these public goods economic consequences. And it is divided into three sectors. First of all, it's the health sector by 87.55 trillion rupiah required. And the second one is the social protections by 203.9 trillion rupiah. And so far, social protections cost more than other sectors in here. And this third one is that sectoral and regional requirements of 106.11 trillion rupiah. And we gathered the source from Bank Indonesia. And how about the non-public goods? Let's take a look at the next graphic about that. Through the next graphic, we can see COVID-19 economic consequences on non-public goods. First of all, it requires around 505.86 trillion rupiah in total, and it is diverged into three categories. First of all, small medium enterprises that needs 123.46 trillion required budget. And the second one is for corporations, for non-SMEs. Regarding the corporations, it needs 53.37 trillion. So we can see by these proportions, government focus on the small medium enterprises rather than the corporations. And the third one is others for the non-public goods by 329.03 trillion rupiah. And in total, it is worth 575.59 trillion rupiah, or we can convert it into US dollar. It's worth 39.7 billion US dollar. And this scheme will see the central bank buying 397.5 trillion rupiah in government bonds at a maximum coupon rate to correspond with the benchmark BI 7-day reverse repo rate to fund the economic consequences. And then the central bank will then return the bond yield to the government in the full on the same day and it is paid. And to get a clearer view about that, let's see the proportions to the next graphic. Here it is. We gathered the data about the proportions between Bank Indonesia and government under the burden sharing scheme. First of all, for public goods, it is 100% under Bank of Indonesia. And the second one, when we talk about non-public goods, specifically we talk about the category of small medium enterprises, it will be covered by Bank Indonesia reverse repo rate minus 1% discount. And then in the third one, for the non-public goods in the category of corporations, non-small medium enterprises, it will be covered by BI reverse repo rate. And then we can see the fourth category goes for non-public goods in the category of others by 100% under the government. And the bond burden sharing scheme will help fund the government's budget deficit this year, which projected to reach 6.34% of gross domestic product. This massive downfall would likely happen since government allocated 695.2 trillion rupiah towards COVID-19 mitigations and economic recovery. And to get a clearer view about that, let's take a look on Indonesian state budget's journey throughout the years. So here it is. As we know that 2020, it would likely be a massive downfall by minus 6.3%. But let's take a look in the 2015. The budget deficit was still there by minus 2.6%, and then moving on to 2016, it went better by only minus 2.5%, and it goes with a stagnation in 2017. But however, in 2018, the government remarked a good state budget deficit by only maintaining at 1.8%. In 2019, as we gathered through the data of Ministry of Finance, it went down to be minus 2.2%. But look at this data regarding 2020, it is projected to reach minus 6.3%. And we cannot even deny that COVID-19 pandemic will likely make this massive downfall. And in 2021, as we aim into economic recovery, it would be projected to be 4.2% minus. In 2022, we hope for a better chance of a budget deficit by only minus 3.6%. And in 2023, it is likely and being hoped that it will reach minus 2.7%. Although the burden sharing scheme would affect the central bank's balance sheet, but it would not have any implications on central bank's monetary policy, said Bank Indonesia Governor Peri Warjio. Let's take a look on what actually he said in the next graphic. Here it is. We can see full statement from Peri Warjio as the governor of Bank Indonesia that stated there is nothing to worry about this burden sharing scheme. He said literally our capital is strong enough as the scheme will not affect our monetary policy that has been established for years. We can see that Peri Warjio showed his optimism towards this burden sharing scheme. And Peri expressed optimism that the burden sharing scheme would not significantly boost the country's inflation, which hit its lowest level since 2000 in June, despite the central bank injected cash into the economy. He pledged that the central bank would monitor policy impact to the country's currency. And yes, the good news was Rupiah appreciated 0.59% following the announcement that Bank Indonesia and the government were discussing about a debt monetization scheme. And we hope that is a good signal. And we hope that by applying this burden sharing scheme, it can speed up our economy recovery. Stay tuned to market headlines because we will be right back after this quick break.